This is the city. Los Angeles, California. I work here. I'm a cop. It was Tuesday, February 3rd. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. It was 18 minutes past 2 a.m. when we got to number 15 San Jose Street, the Green Light Tavern. A killer was loose in the city. His weapon, a .38 caliber revolver. His objective, robbery and murder.
Ambulance on the way, George?
Can't use it. They're both dead, wife and husband.
Did you call the crime lab?
They're on the way.
Okay, we better take a look at that back room.
Right.
This the way you found him, Crowley?
Nothing's been touched. Safe was open when we got here, cleaned out. Shot twice through the back, both of them.
They both dead when you got here?
The old man was. She wasn't.
She say anything?
She said the holdup guy wanted all the money in the safe. The old man gave it to him, pleaded with him not to shoot.
Yeah.
While he was handing over the money, the old man dropped a $10 bill. He said he was sorry, stooped to pick it up. The guy shot him through the back.
Mm-hmm.
The woman said she turned to grab her husband. Guy shot her through the back.
Did you get a description?
She didn't last that long.
Tough luck. What were their names?
Mr. and Mrs. Enrique Cotero, they ran the place. Good people.
They always are.
Wonder how much money the guy got.
Not enough to pay the check. Sergeant Allen and the crew from the crime lab arrived and went to work. They dusted for fingerprints, took pictures of the back room, the safe, the victims. Every object that could have any possible tie-in with the crime was photographed. Captain Lorman was with them.
Looks like that job over on the east side last month, Skipper. Same M.O.
Kid with Ramsey. He the witness?
Yeah, he worked for the Coteras, didn't he?
Yeah, bar boy, handyman, you know. Ramsey's getting no place with him.
What's the matter?
Spanish, can't speak English.
Well, how's your Spanish, Frank?
Still high school Spanish.
All right, let's give it a try. Was he the only one here?
When we got here, yeah.
Trabaja aquí como bar boy, ¿verdad?
Sí, señor. 3 months. Mr. Cotero era muy bueno conmigo.
¿Cómo se llama?
Juan Pedillo. Vivo al otro lado de la barra, en la casa de huéspedes.
What's he saying, Frank?
Well, his name's Juan Padillo. He's been working here for about 3 months. He lives next door in the rooming house. Claims he got along fine with Mr. Cotera.
Ask him to tell us how it happened. Everything.
Juan, queremos saber exactamente cómo pasó esto. Díganos de todo lo que se acuerda. El tiempo. Que tanta gente había. ¿Quiénes eran? Todos los detalles. Toma su tiempo.
Sí. Eran como 5 minutos para las 2. Tiempo de cerrar. Mr. Cotera apenas había cerrado la puerta de enfrente.
He says it happened around closing time, 5 minutes to 2. Mr. Cotera had locked up the front door. Siga, Juan.
Sí. Yo estaba detrás de la barra. Igualmente la señora Cotera. Estábamos limpiando los vasos y poniéndolos en su lugar. Solo estaba un marchante en la barra. Estaba sentado a la orilla de la barra. Allí.
Juan was behind the bar with Mrs. Cotera. They were cleaning up the glasses and putting them away. There was only one customer left. He was sitting at the end of the bar. That stool back there.
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Siga, Juan.
El marchante creo que se llama Pete. Estuvo aquí anoche y la noche anterior. Siempre se quedaba hasta que cerrábamos.
He says the customer's name was Pete. He was in last night and the night before. Always stayed until closing time. Bueno, Juan, siga.
La señora Cotera recogió el dinero del registro y se fue al cuarto de atrás. La oficina está allí. El señor Cotera se sentó con el marchante y bebió con él. Este hombre, Pete.
Un minuto. He says about 2 o'clock, Mrs. Cotera took the money from the cash register and went into the back room.
La oficina.
Yeah, the office. And Mr. Cotera sat down and had a drink with this guy, Pete.
All right, what happened then?
Luego, ¿qué pasó?
Bueno, yo limpié los vasos y como unos cuantos minutos después de las 2, llevé una caja de botellas vacías a la bodega. Estuve allí creo que como 5 minutos, cuando oí el ruido. ¡Bang, bang!
¿Qué hizo entonces?
Dejé caer las botellas y oí de nuevo. ¡Bang, bang! Entonces corrí a ver. Mr. y Mrs. Cotera estaban tendidos en el suelo. Había sangre. Este hombre Pete salía por la puerta de enfrente.
What's he saying, Frank?
He says a couple of minutes past 2, he went back to the storeroom with a case of empty bottles. He was back there about 5 minutes when he heard gunshots. He ran out and saw Cotero and his wife on the floor. This guy Pete was going out the door.
La puerta de enfrente.
Yeah, the front door. Just a minute. ¿Puede conocer a este hombre Pete? ¿Si lo ve de nuevo?
Oh, sí, señor, sí lo conocería.
He says he'd know Pete if he saw him again.
Does he know anything about him? Where he lives, where he hangs out?
¿Sabes dónde vive Pete, Juan? ¿Dónde come? ¿Dónde se mantiene?
No, estuvo aquí hoy, anoche y antenoche. Es todo lo que sé, señor.
Pete was in here for the past 3 nights. That's all he knows.
Ask him if he remembers what Pete was drinking, will you?
Yeah. Juan, ¿se acuerda lo que este hombre Pete estaba tomando?
¿Lo que estaba bebiendo? Oh, sí, señor. Scotchy water. Plain water. Toda la noche lo mismo.
Scotch and water. Drank the same thing all night.
Same guy?
Well, it ties in with that other job over on the east side. Wherever the guy works unconsciously, he seems to order the same thing to drink, doesn't he?
Dispénseme. Dispénseme, señor oficial. Hay algo más que me acuerdo de él. Algo más que él hizo.
Wait a minute. You remember something else. ¿Qué fue eso, Juan? ¿De qué más se acuerda?
Cada noche, él tocaba la máquina de música. Allí. La tocaba mucho. Todo el tiempo pedía cambio.
He says Pete played the jukebox a lot.
Sí, señor. La misma melodía. Toda la noche. De vuelta y de vuelta.
¿Cuál era esa, Juan? ¿Se acuerda?
Sí, señor, me acuerdo. Venga acá, le enseñaré.
What's he doing?
He wants to show us the jukebox. He said Pete played the same tune all night.
Aquí, señor oficial. Esta, la número 14. La tocaba toda la noche. De vuelta y de vuelta. Funny Man.
That's the one.
Number 14. The tune might be another one of his habits. Let's play it.
Go ahead. You got dime?
Thanks.
Sí, esa es. Él tocaba esa.
He says that's the one.
Must be in every jukebox in town.
What does that prove?
It's not going to be very much help. A lot of people like that tune.
Only one man commits murder to it.
Ten minutes past 3 a.m., Tuesday, February 3rd. Captain Lorman, Frank, and I left the Green Light Tavern, and we took Juan Padillo, the young bartender, back to the office with us. With the help of an interpreter, a police stenographer took down his statement, and then we showed him 3 volumes of coming-out mugshots. Padillo and Frank started looking through them. Captain Lorman and I went across the street to the old city jail building, the crime lab, to see Russ Camp in ballistics.
How's it going, Russ?
I'm still working on it. It's pretty tough.
Why, what's the matter?
Right here. This is the bullet that killed that East Side bar owner last month.
Yeah.
It's from a .38 Colt Special. We know that. It's a metal-piercing bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the slug's in good shape. We weren't that lucky tonight.
How do you mean, Russ?
Well, here's the 4 bullets they fired in the back room of the Green Light Tavern tonight.
What happened to them?
Must have had a heavy load. They penetrated the bodies and buried themselves in the wall and floor.
Badly deformed.
Yeah. It's going to take some work. Can't tell you much right now.
What can you tell us, Russ?
Well, I checked the bullets, examined the lands, markings. They got a left-hand twist.
And they came from a Colt.
Yeah, .38 Colt Special. Same type gun killed that man last month.
It's not enough to go to court with, is it?
It's enough for us right now.
Well, we should get a make on one of these 4 bullets. It'll take a little time.
Yeah.
Now, you see these 2 slugs?
Yeah.
Lands, grooves, striations. They're pretty badly mutilated.
Mm-hmm.
There's no chance for any fancy work there, but we still have a good bit left down here at the base of the bullet.
With any kind of a break, you can match them.
Oh, I hope so. Grab it, will you, Joe?
Yeah, I got it. Crime lab, Friday. Yeah, Frank. Yeah. Right away.
Smith?
Yeah. Juan Padillo just identified the killer. There's his picture.
There's his package.
Is Juan sure that's the right man?
Dispénseme, señor oficial. ¿Qué dijo usted?
Él dijo, ¿está usted segura que este es el hombre?
Oh, sí, señor. Es él, estoy seguro.
He's sure.
Well, according to his R card, Albert J. Stacy, white male American, 5'11", 170 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes.
Here's a red flag on his index card, violation of parole. Got out of San Quentin 18 months ago. Burglary, auto theft, armed robbery.
He's used a gun before.
That makes him number 1.
By 4 a.m., an APB and a radiogram on Albert Stacy had been dispatched. The manhunt got underway. At 10 o'clock that morning, Sergeant Allen reported on his findings at the scene of the murder. No fingerprints, no additional physical evidence. We counted on getting the suspect's prints from the glass that he was drinking from at the bar. But either Mrs. Cotera or Juan had unknowingly given the killer his first big break. All the glasses had been washed, wiped, and neatly put away before the shooting. The prints had been destroyed in the process. Just after lunch, Russ Camp and ballistics came up with an answer. The bullets which killed Mr. and Mrs. Cotera came from the same gun which killed the East Side bar owner a month before, a .38 Colt Special.
Homicide, Lorman. Yes, Crowley. Where? Good, thanks. I just picked up Stacy. They're bringing him in.
6 p.m., Tuesday, February 3rd. Albert Stacy was booked at the main jail on suspicion of 187 PC, murder. On his person was found a .38 Colt Special. The gun was immediately taken to the crime lab for examination. Stacy was brought to the interrogation room. Frank and I questioned him for 4 hours. He denied any connection with the two robberies and the murders. At 10 o'clock that night, we sent out for coffee and sandwiches. Stacy ate heartily. He was worried, but he didn't have the attitude of a trapped murderer. The questioning went on. Midnight came. Stacy hung on to his story. He refused to say where he was at the time of the killings. He had nothing to do with the robberies, nothing to do with the murders. At 4 a.m., Frank and I took time out for a smoke.
He's bound to break. He's got to.
Well, either he's a great actor or I'm tired. He doesn't strike me as a guilty man.
Well, I'm with you, but what about his record and the mugshot the kid picked out?
Seaman?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Nothing.
Russ Camp just called about Stacy's gun.
Yeah.
Maybe we found the right man, but we got the wrong gun.
11 a.m., Wednesday, February 11th. We were refused a complaint against Albert Stacy by the district attorney's office on the grounds that we were unable to present sufficient evidence against him. We then filed on Stacy for violation of the State Penal Code, Chapter 339, Statutes of 1923, as amended 1947, Sub 2, an ex-convict with a gun. We put a hold on Stacy for his parole officer. He was to be returned to San Quentin. Frank and I started all over again from the beginning. A complete description of the suspect, along with his method of operation, was distributed to every tavern and cocktail lounge in the city. A special detail of men from the Metropolitan Division was assigned to stand a special watch between the hours of midnight and 3 a.m. During the month that followed, we set trap after trap for the killer. He failed to take the bait. Another month passed. We watched and we waited. 1 a.m. Saturday, April 4th. Frank and I were cruising the central area.
Attention, all units. All units. A 211 and shooting in the bar on the corner of Bellevue and Allison. A 211 and shooting in the bar on the corner of Bellevue and Allison. Suspect left the scene on foot. Suspect is wearing dark coat, light trousers. 1R5, take the call. Code 3.
Let's go. 1K80, 1K80.
1K80, go ahead.
On that call to Bellevue and Allison, we are in the vicinity. We will handle.
1K80, roger.
1K80, any further description on the 211 suspect?
1K80, no further details. Suspect wearing dark coat, light trousers. Left the scene on foot. Code 3.
Let's roll it. 2 minutes later, Frank and I got to the Windsor Buffet. The robbery victims were the owners, Mr. and Mrs. Ernest Lineberger. Mrs. Lineberger did all the talking. 1:25 a.m., Frank and I continued questioning Mr. and Mrs. Lineberger. Their description of the suspect, his M.O., and all of his actions matched those of the man who had shot down Mr. and Mrs. Cotera 2 months before, and the East Side bar owner a month before that. The Linebergers told us that the suspect drank only scotch and plain water, and that he played the jukebox incessantly. The same tune, Funny Man.
That's right, Funny Man. That's what he played. I got a good look at his wrist, too, his right wrist.
What about it?
He's got a picture tattooed on the underside.
What kind of a picture?
Looks like a cat, a black cat.
Do you by any chance have the glass that he was drinking out of?
Yeah, it's over by the door.
Smashed to bits.
Sure, I threw it at him when he ran out the door.
2:12 a.m. Frank and I drove Mr. and Mrs. Lineberger to the office where we took their statements and filled out a crime report. After that, we went down the hall to R&I and had one of the officers on duty check through the oddity file for us.
That's it, Joe. Only guy in the file with a tattoo of a cat on his wrist.
Yeah.
He's got a different tattoo on his left wrist.
He's only got one name. Wesley R. Guttridge. We pulled his mugshot. He was almost a dead ringer for Stacy. We compared descriptions. They matched almost perfectly. A radiogram was sent out on him, and communications broadcast a want for murder. Captain Lorman, Frank, and I checked our informants and all our available sources of information for the whereabouts of Wesley Guttridge. There was no trace of him. 2 days passed. We continued cruising the Central and Hollenbeck Park area.
Unit 1A5, out for 7, KMA 367. Correction, 7R6. That's 2421 Beverly Boulevard. A prowler now, KMA 367. Attention, all units. Attention, all units. At 5th and Winston, the bar, a 211 and shooting, code 3. Suspect left the scene on foot. Suspect was headed west on 5th Street. Attention, all units. All units. At 5th and Winston.
The name of the place was Doris and Jim's. Inside, we found a man lying on the floor, face down. He was dead. There were 3 bullet wounds in his back.
Jim gave him the money. Every penny of it. He asked him for it, and Jim gave it to him. He didn't have to shoot him. Didn't have to kill him. We gave him the money.
Shut that thing off, will you? 5 a.m. Tuesday, April 7th. Frank and I sat in on a meeting with Captain Lorman. Plans for a citywide Dragnet operation to apprehend the killer were discussed and formulated. By 7 a.m., an overall plan was set in motion. Every available man was ordered up for special duty in the Central area, the Newton Street Division, the University Division, and the Hollenbeck and Highland Park areas. Additional men from the Metropolitan Division, plus an extra complement of 45 radio and detective cars were assigned to the manhunt. The search for Guttridge went on all that day, all that night into the following morning. No sign of him. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Still no sign of him. The 24-hour watch continued. 5 days, 10 days, 2 weeks. Tuesday, April 28th. It was the end of the 3rd week. Our relief showed up a few minutes before midnight. Before we went home, Frank and I stopped by the office to check with Captain Lorman. They told us in homicide that he was down the hall in communications.
All units. All units.
What's doing, Skipper?
Just a minute.
All units. 211 and a shooting. In the bar at 1231 North Fremont. 1231 North Fremont. 1K61, handle a call, code 3. 1K61, roger.
1K61, that's Ramsey and Crowley, isn't it?
All units, 211 suspect has been identified by victim as Wesley Guttridge, murder suspect.
The 1200 block of North Fremont's in the stakeout area, isn't it?
Right on the edge of it, I think.
Yeah, here it is, right here. Guttridge is going to have a rough time. The neighborhood here should be pretty well covered.
All units on the 211 and shooting at 1231 North Fremont. Suspect left scene in a light tan 1950 Ford sedan. License 7 Tom 7972. 7 Tom 7972. Suspect headed south on Fremont. Suspect headed south on Fremont. 1K61. 1K61. We have spotted 211 suspect, tan Ford sedan, license 7 Tom 7972. Suspect is traveling at high rate of speed, west on 3rd. Now crossing Lucas. We're in pursuit. 1K61, roger. All units on all frequencies, stand by. 1K61 is in pursuit of 211 murder suspect. Suspect is heading west on 3rd Street, now crossing Lucas Avenue. 1K61, pursuing suspect west on 3rd Street, now crossing Union Avenue. Push it, Jim. Don't lose it. 1K61, roger. All units. Suspect headed west on 3rd Street, crossing Union Avenue. Units 1R13, 1A17, 1R19. Block the intersection at Westlake and 3rd Street. R13, roger. 1A17, roger. R19, roger. Units 1R11 and 1A12. Block the intersection at 3rd Street and Alvarado. 1R11, roger.
They're closing in on him.
1K61, 1K61. Suspect now headed north on Burlington, crossing Miramar. north on Burlington, crossing Miramar. Watch your truck, Jim.
1K61, Roger. All units. Suspect now headed north on Burlington, crossing Miramar. North on Burlington, crossing Miramar.
Maybe they got him blocked.
1K61.
1K61, go ahead.
Still pursuing suspect north on Burlington, now crossing 2nd Street. Looks like a dead end. I think we got him blocked. He's turning around. Watch it, Jim. Here he comes. Look out. There goes our windshield. You see all right, Jim? 1K61, 1K61. Maybe you heard it. He got by us. Suspect now headed east on Beverly Boulevard, crossing Belmont. Are you receiving us?
1K61, we are receiving you. All units. Suspect now headed east on Beverly Boulevard, now crossing Belmont. 1K61 is in pursuit.
1K61. Suspect just turned off Beverly onto Figueroa, heading north on Figueroa, crossing Temple. Just a minute, hold it. He just turned down Alpine. Hold it. Turned again. Suspect now headed north on Alameda, headed for the Southern Pacific train yards. Now crossing North Broadway, going into the yards. Don't lose him, Jim.
All units. All units. Converge on Southern Pacific train yards. All units. Converge on Southern Pacific train yards. From North Main to the river. From Alhambra Avenue to Macy Street. Suspect is in the yards. Suspect is in the yards.
Not making it easy.
He's got nothing to lose.
1K61. 1K61. 1K61, come in. .1K61, come in.
1K61. We have suspect in custody. We have suspect in custody.
1K61, Roger. All units. 1K61 has suspect in custody. Return to your districts. Return to your districts. All frequencies clear.
Well, I guess that does it.
Yeah, it sounds like nobody was hurt. They didn't ask for an ambulance.
Big night.
Lucky one.
Well, I'm going home. See you fellas in the morning.
Good night, Skipper.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
KMA 367. Time check, 12:30 a.m.
How about that?
What's the matter?
This wristwatch of mine. Jeweler worked the whole thing over. Give it a complete overhaul. Look at that, Joe. 5 minutes slow. Wait till I talk to that jeweler.
Well, how long ago did he work on it?
Oh, just 4 or 5 years ago. Why?
Good night, Frank.
Yeah. What time you got, Lieutenant?
On August 28th, trial was held in Department 82, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial. The suspect was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
This is the city. Everybody starts out with the same chances. They grow up with the chance to play. The city provides playgrounds. Public schools give them a chance to learn. High schools, colleges. They all have an equal chance to obey the laws. Some of them don't take it. That's why I have the job. I'm a cop. It was Wednesday, January 14th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Homicide Division. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. The teletype from the doctor at the police academy had been posted. My name was on the list. 8:30 a.m. I reported for my annual physical.
Looks fine, Joe. I'm going to have to pass you.
You mean I'm okay for another year, huh?
Yeah. How about that shoulder?
What?
Gunshot wound. Ever bother you?
No.
When we took the x-rays, it looked like you were going to have trouble with it. Chip bone?
Mm-mm.
You sure you'd never have any trouble with it?
No? Well, once in a while in the wet weather, it kind of aches a little bit, you know.
Yeah, that happens. How old are you, Joe?
33.
Still Central Homicide?
Mm-hmm.
Serial number?
2288.
288. Yeah, well, guess that does it. You get dressed.
Okay, thanks. Keeping you pretty busy, are they, Doc?
4,200 men. Keep you hopping.
Hi, Doc. Sorry to bother you. You through, Joe?
Yeah, anything doing?
Dead body call out near Westlake Park.
We got it?
Yeah, better get there. 932 Old Laurel Lane.
What's the story?
Old man found dead in his living room, bullet hole in his chest.
Yeah?
Boys in the radio car that answered the call thought the old man killed himself. They're not so sure now.
What do you mean?
I think somebody helped him.
8:45 a.m. We left the doctor's office at the police academy and we drove to the address in the Westlake area where the shooting had been reported. The dead man was identified as Martin Latimer, age 68, a retired owner of a couple of neighborhood grocery stores in the city. He was lying sprawled partly on his side on the floor. There was a bullet hole in his chest just above the heart where the slug had entered the body. There was another larger wound in the back through the right shoulder blade where the bullet had emerged. Approximately 5 feet from the body was a chair. There was a Winchester rifle wired firmly to the top, its muzzle pointing directly above the spot where the body lay on the floor. A thick white string was wound firmly around the trigger of the rifle. It ran through a metal ring on the stock of the gun and stretched across the room where it had been tied to the dead man's left index finger. At first glance, it seemed like an obvious suicide arrangement. Officer Harkness, one of the men in the radio car who answered the call, didn't agree.
I don't know, Sergeant. Maybe I'm all wet. Just doesn't gel right for me.
Who found the body, Harkness?
Next door neighbor, Mrs. Donworth. My partner's with her now. Did you fellas call the crime lab?
Yeah, they're on their way. The old man the only one who lived in the house here?
Yeah, that's what the neighbor told us. Sure would like to see what the crime lab crew's going to think of it.
Why? What's the big question, Harkness?
Well, I know it's none of my business, Sergeant. You fellas are the detectives. I just couldn't help but notice, so.
Yeah, what's that?
Over there, that rifle wide to the back of the chair.
Yeah?
Take a sight along the barrel, see what you think.
Yeah, pointed right in a straight line with the body. Well, that much fits. The old man pulled the string tied to his index finger. That set off the trigger and took the slug right through the chest.
That's what I figured. Take a look at the wall directly behind the old man. The slug went clean through the body, we know that. Through the chest, above the heart, and then out through the shoulder blade.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Take a look at that wall there. Not a mark on it.
Well, one thing, Sheriff, the old man was shot in that position. The slug had to come this way. Went through his body at just about this height. We ought to find the bullet hole in this wall right along here.
Yeah, there's not a trace of a slug anyplace.
No.
Not much chance it could have been deflected either, is there?
That's what I thought at first, too, Sergeant.
Yeah.
Down by your right knee, on the wall. Take a look.
Yeah, that looks like it.
Well, there's something wrong here, Joe. That rifle never could have thrown a slug that far down on the wall. Wired to the chair the way it is.
And besides, it's way out of line, almost 4 feet here.
I know it's none of my business, Sergeant. Couldn't help but notice it, though. You want me to stand by outside?
Yeah, okay. And would you mind checking with the neighbor lady? What's her name?
Mrs. Donworth.
Yeah, you said she lives right next door?
Yeah, on this side.
Would you mind telling her we'll be over to see her in a few minutes and ask her to wait?
Right, we'll check with you before we leave.
Thanks, Sergeant.
Now look at that gun again.
It's a 30-30, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Sure doesn't add up too well, does it? Even if the old man jerked the gun when he pulled the trigger with that string arrangement there, the slug couldn't have passed through his chest, out his back, and then hit the wall where it did.
Joe, stand right behind the body, will you? Let's see if we can line this thing up. No, a little more to the left. A little more.
More like this?
Yeah, that's it. Let me see. No, not a chance, Joe. It's way out of line. If this is the gun that killed the old man, he didn't pull the trigger. Not from there, anyway.
Well, there's one other chance, isn't there?
Yeah?
Somebody pulled it for him. Sergeant J. Allen and a crew from the crime lab arrived and went to work. We put in a call to the coroner's office and asked them to remove the body. 9:15 a.m. We went next door to talk to the neighbor who had found the body, Mrs. Elsie Donworth.
I went over to pick up his laundry, officer. I do laundry for half a dozen people here in the neighborhood. I don't charge any more than the regular laundries do. A lot more particular with shirts and things.
I see, Miss Donworth. Would you go on, please?
I went over about 8 o'clock this morning. I walked in and called out, but he didn't answer. Then I went into the parlor, and there he was. Poor old man looked so sad lying there, all alone, that big gun strapped to the chair. Gave me the coldest feeling. It was the same way when Claude died. Claude was my husband.
I understand.
Only Claude didn't shoot himself.
Uh-huh. I take it you knew Mr. Latimer pretty well, ma'am?
Oh, I suppose. He didn't have any relatives, poor man, all alone. He was in the grocery business for years. Made some nice money, I guess. He retired about 8 years ago, sold both his stores. He had an income from a mortgage on one of them, $150 a month. Oh, yes, he was very comfortable.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't a penny pincher at all, but he was thrifty. It was the same way with my husband, Claude. He used to say, take care of the dimes, the dollars will take care of themselves.
Miss Donworth, can you think of any reason why Latimer'd want to take his own life?
Oh, I suppose poor old man was getting along in years. He used to complain all the time about his health. For a long time there, he was afraid he was going to die with cancer.
Is that so? Did Mr. Latimer have cancer, do you know?
Oh, no, but he kept thinking he was going to die with it. Mr. Latimer was always talking about it.
I'm going to check with Jay next door and see how they're making out. Tell them where we are.
Right.
I'll be right back.
Right.
Mr. Latimer was so upset about it, he finally went to see a doctor. He came back and told me the doctor said for him not to be so silly about it. He was a well man and good health. That was last week only.
When was the last time you saw Latimer, ma'am?
Day before yesterday. Oh, we laughed and joked over the back fence. Poor old man had such a nice smile. Reminded me a good deal of my husband, Claude.
I'd like to have your honest opinion here, Miss Donworth. Do you think Latimer killed himself?
Well, I suppose. That rifle in there, that terrible contraption.
See you in a minute, Joe.
Yeah. Excuse me, Miss Donworth.
Surely.
Anything?
The crime lab's having a field day, Joe. They say it'd be absolutely impossible for the old man to kill himself with that rig.
They find anything definite?
Dusted the rifle for fingerprints, didn't find a one.
It makes less sense than that slug buried in the corner of the wall.
Another thing, I checked the desk in the living room. Found some correspondence the Latimer had with the Lonely Hearts Club. Judging from the letter, seems Latimer was getting set to marry the girl. Big picture of her attached to the letter.
Yeah, did you find out why he'd want to die?
Pretty good reason why he'd want to live.
Yeah?
Beautiful girl, looks to be about 24, 25.
Yeah.
She was going to marry him.
The crime lab crew went on with their routine investigation of the Martin Latimer house while Frank and I continued to talk to the neighbor, Mrs. Donworth. There didn't seem to be any common ground at all between the evidence in the house and the information she had to offer. As we continued questioning her, Mrs. Donworth remembered that a month before, Latimer had told her that something might happen to him and that he wanted to make out a will. He asked her to witness the will. A few days later, Latimer's lawyer came to the house and Mrs. Donworth read it and witnessed the signing. At that time, she said Latimer made the remark, "I don't feel like going on much longer anyway. If death means arrest, I think I deserve one."
Ma'am, did you hear anything out of the ordinary going on next door this morning or last night?
No, there's nothing I heard from next door to remark about. Of course, it's so noisy around here that time of morning you can't even hear yourself think.
How's that, ma'am?
The trucks passing by, up and down every morning. Not small trucks either. They start in at 6 a.m. and they rattle past for 2 or 3 hours at least.
Could you give us the names of some of the other people on the street who knew Mr. Latimer pretty well?
Yes, I suppose. I don't think any of them knew the poor old man as well as I did. Most of them are younger folks, parties and things, you know. When you get up around 65 or past it, like Mr. Latimer, parties don't mean so much anymore.
I understand.
Yes, just a nice, quiet home with a good heating system, good books on the shelf, and a good man around the house. About all you can ask for.
Well, thank you very much, ma'am. Here's our card. If you think of anything else, please call us.
All right. Frank Smith. That's you, huh?
That's right, homicide, extension 2521.
Just one more thing, Miss Donworth. We understand Latimer was corresponding with several women through a Lonely Hearts Club. Did he ever mention that to you by any chance?
No, he never did. I saw the circulars and stuff around his house, though.
And Latimer never mentioned any of the women that he corresponded with, huh?
Well, I pretended I didn't know about it. He never brought it up. I don't understand why he'd want to meet a lady that way. All most of them are looking for is a man with money so they can quit work and lay around the house.
Well, thanks again, Miss Donworth.
Yes, poor old man. Wonder what made him write letters after silly women. A little good they'd have done him. He wrote letters all over the country.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm getting tired of working myself. He could have saved the postage, too.
Ma'am?
I was right next door. I would have married him in a minute.
We left Mrs. Donworth's house and we went back next door to Latimer's house. The crime lab crew had finished their investigation and the coroner's deputies had arrived. They took the body downtown for autopsy. We talked over the crime lab findings with Sergeant J. Allen, and he felt the same way Frank and I did. The theory that Latimer had shot himself to death was possible in many respects, but it was far from plausible. We checked through Latimer's correspondence with the women he contacted by mail, especially the young girl he obviously intended to marry, judging from his letters to her. Her picture showed her to be brunette, dark eyes, young, very attractive. The inscription read, "With love, Catherine." There was no return address either on the photo or on any of the letters. 9:52 a.m. We put in a call to the mail club.
Yes, ma'am. We may drop down to talk to you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
What'd they have to say?
Well, it might be, Joe. Club secretary says they've been having trouble with somebody who signs a picture just like this one, with love, Catherine. I described the picture. Secretary says it's the same girl.
What's the angle?
Well, the girl doesn't belong to the club, but somehow she got a list of the members and their addresses. She writes to them, usually old men, gets them set for marriage, and they send for her.
Yeah.
Her letters come from the east, usually different cities. She writes and asks for train fare out here. The men send her the money for clothes and train fare, and that's the last of it. She's gone.
Well, it adds up all right, doesn't it? There's one letter here. This one. I hate to ask you, dear, but if you could send me the traveling money and just a little extra for some clothes, I will take the first train and be with you in a week to become your wife, awaiting that precious moment with love.
Kind of pours it on thick, huh? What's the date on that one?
Well, let's see. Mailed December 30th. That's 14 days ago.
What do you think, Joe?
I don't know. It's possible. She could have showed up, tried to grab all the old man's money she could find. Maybe he caught her at it. She killed him, rigged up this phony setup to make it look like Latimer shot himself.
It'd hold more water if we could find out she really came here. Maybe we'd better start ringing a few doorbells. The other neighbors might come up with something. What do you say?
Let's take another look at that girl's picture, huh?
Here you are. No photographer's name.
Underneath here, down the corner of the mounting, see?
XXX6Y3. Must be some kind of manufacturer's mark. Photographic supply, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Guess it stands for the type of mounting, huh? You know anything about the photo business?
No.
I don't either.
Well, let's find somebody who does. Before we drove back to the office, Frank and I covered the rest of the neighborhood and talked to everybody who knew the dead man, Martin Latimer, even remotely. They told us nothing we didn't already know. There'd been no stranger seen visiting the old man. No one had noticed anything out of the ordinary in Latimer's daily routine. 3 o'clock that afternoon, we checked with a photo supply firm where we found out that the symbols stamped on the cardboard frame of the photograph signed Catherine were symbols used by a photo supply company in San Francisco. We went back to the office and got in touch with the San Francisco firm. We were told that the symbols indicated the style and size of photographic mountings, and further, that this particular type of mounting was distributed only throughout 7 western states. They gave us a list of 18 photo studios in Los Angeles who kept this particular mount in stock. It was a long chance, but we started checking them out. Meantime, we'd run the girl through R&I and gotten out an APB seeking information on her. Monday, January 19th, I checked into the office. Homicide, Friday. Oh, hi, Faye. No, he's not right now. I expect him in almost any minute. Yeah, Sure, yeah. Wait till I get a pencil. Okay. 3 pounds of ground round. Yeah. Lean, yeah. No, I'll tell him. Oh, loaf of rye bread? With what? Oh, seeds. With seeds, yeah. Okay. And a quart of cream. Oh, ice cream. Yeah. No, I don't know what anybody want with a quart of cream either. Yeah. What kind? Chocolate? Okay. That's it, huh? Right. Sure, I'll be happy to. Oh, pretty good, Faye. And the kids? Fine. Well, we've been pretty busy lately, you know. Sure, I'll try to make it next week. Right. Bye. Oh, Faye. She hung up.
Oh.
Your wife.
Oh, what you want?
Some stuff she wants you to bring home tonight.
Yeah? Seeds?
Yeah, for rye bread, you know.
Well, why didn't you write it down, Joe? RB Seeds doesn't mean anything.
How'd you do it?
Well, I covered 7 photographic studios. On the 8th, I got lucky.
Yeah?
Doris Chambers, age 22.
Monday, January 19th, 10:30 a.m. The proprietor of the photo studio on Melrose Avenue had identified the girl in the picture. He told us she was Doris Chambers, age 22. She came from a fairly well-to-do family, and her father was manager of a local neighborhood bank. We drove over to talk to her. She couldn't recognize the handwriting on the photo, nor did she understand the inscription with Love, Catherine. After questioning her, it became apparent she knew nothing at all about 68-year-old Martin Latimer.
I wonder if you'd mind taking another look at the handwriting on that picture, miss. Take a close look. Is it familiar at all to you?
No. No, I couldn't be sure either way. Seems like I've seen it, though.
When did you say you had that picture made?
About a year ago at graduation. My mother had extra copies made up. She liked it. I didn't care for it much.
Could you tell us how many people have prints of this picture?
Mama had about 24 copies made up. She took 12 and I took 12. She sent them to relatives and friends of ours. She kept a few.
What'd you do with yours?
Sent them to friends, girls at school, a few of my boyfriends.
And can you remember if you autographed any of them?
Yes, some of them. The one for my girlfriends. The others I gave out plain.
Can you try and think who you gave those to, miss? The unsigned pictures?
One went to Carl. I know that. And then Fred and Don and Ray and Warren. Yeah, I think that's it.
I wonder if we could have their full names and addresses, please.
Yes. All right. I'm pretty sure I've got them in here someplace. I don't know what I'm saving all this junk for. Old letters and... Just a minute. That's funny. It's the same handwriting, isn't it? I thought I'd seen it before.
Ma'am?
This old letter from Warren. See the writing? Doesn't that look the same to you?
Looks close, Joe.
Yeah, we'll have Don Meyer in handwriting check it over. Who is this Warren, Miss Chambers?
Warren White. Here's his address right here.
I got it, Joe.
Warren and I went to college together. We were engaged to be married for a while. Then I broke it off.
I see.
Warren's a serious boy. He's very thorough. A perfectionist, you know, Sergeant. Never does things halfway.
Is that so?
I've never known Warren to do anything in his life halfway. Not once.
Well, he's going to have a perfect record if that handwriting matches, isn't he?
What can they do to him?
I don't know, but they won't do it halfway. "11:02 a.m. We left the home of Doris Chambers and drove down Beverly Boulevard to 743 North Clairwood Avenue, an apartment house where the suspect was supposed to be living. We talked to the manager, and he told us that Warren White had moved without giving notice 5 days before, on January 14th. The same day, 68-year-old Martin Latimer was found dead in his home. We got on the phone, talked to Doris Chambers again, and she gave us a lead on Warren White's married sister. The following day, we located the sister of the murder suspect, and she told us that her brother Warren had phoned that morning and asked for an emergency loan of $200, which she didn't have. The sister gave us White's new address, and we checked it out. We had the manager let us in White's apartment. It was one of those run-down, futuristic-style apartment houses built somewhere around the mid-30s. It was on a high, narrow road above Sunset Boulevard overlooking most of Hollywood. White wasn't in, and the manager said he wasn't expected back until early next morning. We waited. Midnight, 1 a.m. No sign of the suspect.
You know, Joe, you can't beat it. The view from up here is beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
You ought to look around and find a place like this for yourself. Be great.
Well, the rent's too high up here.
Well, it's the location, I guess. You know, people love hillsides, love to be high. The higher you are, the more it costs. First, the location is great. Public school right down there. And if you take Sunset Boulevard down to the freeway, you're in the city hall in 10 minutes.
It doesn't take me much longer. That about 20 minutes is all.
Yeah, but you don't have the view, Joe.
Oh, smell that air. What time you got?
1:45.
We waited. 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 4:30. It was cold. Still no sign of the suspect, Warren White. 5 a.m., 5:30. 6:30, 7 a.m., 7:30. We kept waiting. No sign of the suspect. We called the office and arranged for a relief. 8 a.m. We could hear groups of youngsters passing by outside, trooping into the main yard of a school just below the apartment house. We kept waiting. 8:15 a.m.
Come on in.
What is this? What do you want?
You Warren White?
Yeah.
Stand still.
He's clean, Joe.
Well, what do you want?
Police officers. You been drinking?
Yeah, a little. But it's all right. Why don't you sit down, officers? I'm not going to give you any trouble.
What do you mean?
I killed him. Maybe I'll never know why, but I killed him. Sit down, officers. Some bourbon in the kitchen. You want some?
No, thanks.
Why'd you kill the old man, son? You want to tell us?
I don't know. Probably 100 reasons. Not sure of any one of them. Something I never realized before.
Yeah?
I mean, killing a man, taking a human life. I guess nobody knows what it is till they do it. Most complicated thing in the world.
You must have had a reason for it, killing him, rigging it for a suicide. Do you have anything against him?
I hardly even knew him. I used that picture of Doris to fool him. Made some good money doing it. I needed it.
You willing to give us a statement about the whole thing?
I haven't anything to hide, officer. The minute I killed him, I knew it was over. Right there in that 1 minute. I knew you'd come and find me somehow. I didn't know when, but I knew you'd come and find me.
All right. We better head downtown.
Yeah.
That's a great sound, isn't it?
What's that?
Schoolyard, the kids. Got a great sound to it. A good one.
Yeah.
Could I please go over there for a minute?
All right.
All right. How can anybody figure it? You start in the schoolyard, like those kids down there, running around, yelling. I started the same.
Yeah.
I wonder what it is that happens. An 8-year-old red-headed kid. Must be one down there now. Other kids will grow up, get jobs, work and die. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
One kid will end up in an alley with a gun in his hand. How can anybody figure it?
I wouldn't know.
Bunch of kids playing in a schoolyard. Someday one of them's a killer.
Yeah.
You tell me, what's the answer?
On April 8th, trial was held in Department 88, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial. The suspect was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree.